Okay, so today, we're doing something a little different. Not the usual deep dive into policy or, data. Instead, we're opening up the files on some truly, well, deeply unsettling true accounts.
Yeah, these are stories from people who actually lived through moments of just extreme fear, crime, tragedy, things you wouldn't wish on anyone.
We've got narratives ranging from encounters with alleged serial killers, the brutality of war, even the final horrific moments of someone's life heard through a wall.
These aren't campfire tales. They're powerful because they're real. They show what happens when ordinary life just crashes into something terrifying.
Exactly. And they remind us that sometimes the scariest horrors aren't fictional. They're right here in reality. Our goal isn't just to retell them, but maybe see what they teach us about, trust, survival.
The fragility of it all, really. Mind and body.
Right. So let's start with a story about trust, or misplaced trust. It happened in Australia. A traveler hitchhiking with friends.
Hitchhiking itself is already a bit of a gamble, isn't it? You're putting your faith in strangers.
Totally. But here, there was a twist. One of the friends realized they were near a distant uncle's place, someone he'd never actually met.
Oh, okay. So a family connection, sort of.
Yeah, so they called him up. And this uncle, apparently super friendly, cheery, invited them to stay at his rural property. Seems like a lucky break for tired travelers.
Sounds okay so far.
Here's where it gets weird. The chilling detail. The uncle shows them where to get bedding, opens a closet, and it was, quote, totally full of sleeping bags and bedrolls, just packed.
Huh. That is odd. Just dozens of them.
Apparently. But they were tired, grateful for a place to stay. They didn't really question it. Grabbed a kid each, slept on the living room floor for a couple of days.
You can kind of see how that happens, though. You rationalize it. Maybe he runs a scout group or he's just eccentric. It's that normalization bias kicking in. You explain away the red flag because the context, family, hospitality feels safe.
Exactly. You dismiss the weirdness. And maybe that dismissal, that seeming normalcy, is what kept them safe.
Oh.
Because about a year later, that friendly uncle was arrested.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Turns out he was a serial killer. Ivan Millet, maybe? Or someone like him, known for picking up young hitchhiking backpackers, taking them out to the bush.
And slaughtering them. Oh, my God.
Storyteller,
Yeah.
the hitchhiker. He became absolutely certain he and his friends had slipped in the sleeping bags of that killer's victims.
Wow. Just the violation, the trust, the proximity to pure evil hiding behind a smile.
It's a hard lesson, isn't it? How easily malice can wear a normal face.
Truly terrifying.
Okay, let's pivot now. From that hidden danger to something much more overt, survival during war. This next account is from Chechnya, during the insurgency against Russia. The narrator was just a kid, 9 or 10 years old.
Conflict zones just erase childhood, don't they? Everything becomes about immediate threat, survival mode, constantly.
So he's walking home from school one day. His village was, a hot spot. Suddenly, loud bangs, booms. The calm just shattered.
Instinct takes over, I imagine.
Absolutely. He and a friend dived behind a concrete wall in an alley, just frozen. Then, moments later, this young insurgent comes running around the corner, maybe 18, 20 years old, wearing a gray Puma hoodie, long dark hair, scruffy beard, and he's limping badly. Shot or hit by shrapnel.
Already wounded.
Yeah. He fires off a couple of rounds from his rifle, then he's out of ammo. He sees the kids while he's desperately trying to reload.
What did he do?
We actually yelled at them. God damn you kids, what are you here? Run! But they were too scared to move. Then his gun jams.
Oh, man.
Starts crying.
Yeah.
Hitting the rifle in frustration. Just absolute desperation.
It's that moment, the fighter suddenly becoming just a terrified, helpless young man. It's a stark shift.
And then, right after that moment of vulnerability, the other side arrives.
Russian forces.
Yeah. An FSB troop, Federal Security Service, in full armor, ski mask, pokes his head around the wall.
Sees the kids.
Sees them, motions for them to stay down, keep low.
Yeah.
And then he just raises his weapon and shoots the insurgent.
It's him?
Clean in the throat, the narrator said. Described this awful, throaty sound as the man collapsed.
Witnessing that, especially as a child, that's profound trauma. It leads to what some call moral injury. Seeing something so fundamentally wrong, it damages your core beliefs.
And it wasn't even over. More FSB troops showed up. They shot the body a few more times. For good measure, the account said.
Desecration, dehumanization.
Then they start stripping him. Joking, taking souvenirs, using slurs for Chechens. Just this. Callous disregard for the dead, for humanity, ignoring the kids completely.
Horrific. But war often involves that kind of brutalization.
But then something else happened. One of the soldiers Maybe the shooter, maybe another one. He seemed different for a second.
How so?
He noticed the kids were crying, traumatized. He told them to stop crying, patted them on the back,
Yeah.
and said, sorry you had to see that, but you did good.
Wow. That duality. The killer showing a flicker of empathy.
Right, in the middle of all that brutality. Yeah. That contradiction, the capacity for both violence and a moment of kindness, however brief, that's often at the core of war trauma, isn't it?
Yeah.
That memory sticks.
Absolutely. That kind of experience shapes you forever. And that feeling of helplessness, the psychological weight of these conflicts. It connects to other survival stories, too, like the accounts from the Cambodian genocide.
Tell us about that.
Well, there's this story of two cousins who survived a Khmer Rouge labor camp. What's striking is there were no fences. Not physical ones, anyway.
So how were they kept there?
Fear. Pure psychological control. The conditions were terrible, obviously. Starvation, disease. But the real jailer was the routine violence.
What kind of violence?
Every day they'd line everyone up, and they'd just pick one person at random and shoot them.
It's like that.
Just like that. And the message was always clear. If anyone tries to leave, more of you will die.
That's terrifying. Random, targeted terror to control the group.
Exactly. It paralyzes people. Running isn't just risking your own life. You feel responsible for condemning others. These two cousins, though, they decided they had to escape. But their brother, he was too scared. He wouldn't go.
So they left him.
They left him behind. And they live with that choice. They carry this knowledge or belief that their escape probably led to reprisals, that maybe 100 or more people were killed because they ran.
How did they cope with that?
They tell themselves those people were likely going to die anyway. It's a kind of justification, maybe a necessary one, to bear the weight of surviving, that mental reconstruction. Sometimes the burden of survival is heavier than the trauma itself.
That's a heavy thought. Okay, let's shift gears again, away from direct conflict into unsettling mysteries. Cases where the horror isn't just the event, but the sheer strangeness, the unanswered questions.
Right, the kind that linger because they don't make sense.
First one comes from Mexico. A friend's aunt.
Yeah.
When she was little, maybe 6 or 7, she went missing from her family's ranch. Vanished.
For how long?
A week. They searched everywhere. Then suddenly, she just reappeared. Walked out of the trees near the ranch, dirty, disoriented.
Yeah.
And her mouth had been sewn shut.
Sewn shut? Oh my God, a child.
Yes. And when they finally got the stitches out, when she could talk, she told this bizarre story.
What did she say?
She said she'd been playing with a duende.
A duende, like the folkloric creature, the little nature spirit.
Exactly. She claimed she'd been playing with it in the woods and thought she'd only been gone for a couple of hours, not a whole week.
That's quite a story, but what's the interpretation?
Well, the friend who told the story is convinced the duende thing was purely a coping mechanism. A story her young mind created to cover up something far worse.
Like abduction, torture.
Yeah. That she was taken, held somewhere, abused, and whoever did it sewed her mouth shut, maybe expecting her to die out there before she could ever tell anyone what happened.
The mind trying to protect itself from unbearable trauma by creating a myth? That makes a chilling kind of sense. Did it affect her long term?
Apparently, yes. She grew up very quiet, very reserved, still carried the physical scars, and likely the psychological ones too.
Horrifying. Okay, what's the other mystery?
This one is from Finland. Back in 2004, a man disappears from his home. Just vanishes.
What were the circumstances?
Really strange. Lights left on, front door open, no jacket, no shoes, even though it was October. He'd apparently just called friends to arrange going to the sauna, then gone.
Baffling. Did they ever find him?
Yes, but not for 4 years.
4 years? Where?
Some kids found what they thought was a scarecrow, high up in a big spruce tree near his home.
It wasn't a scarecrow, was it?
No, it was the missing man's body.
In the tree. For 4 years, how did they rule it?
Officially, suicide.
Suicide? How do you commit suicide like that, ending up like a scarecrow in a tree?
Exactly. That's the unsettling part. According to Finnish crime websites and reports, the details don't fit suicide at all. The rope wasn't tied around his neck like a typical hanging. He was found sitting on a branch facing the tree trunk, and his body was tied to the tree, secured from 3 or 4 different places.
Tied to the tree. That sounds deliberate, forced, like someone put him there.
That's the strong suspicion. Especially since this man apparently had some history with drugs, had done some time. The theory is foul play, maybe drug debts.
So someone forced him up the tree, tied him there securely so he couldn't get down.
And just left him. left him to die of exposure, hypothermia, in the cold Finnish autumn.
That's incredibly cruel. A slow, lingering death disguised perhaps as something else.
Right. The horror there is the gap between the neat official explanation, suicide, and the messy, disturbing physical evidence that points to something much darker, a planned, cold-blooded killing.
Leaves so many questions unanswered.
It really does. Okay,
Yeah.
Finally, let's talk about more visceral horror, the fragility of the human body and the terror of being trapped.
These are often the hardest accounts to hear, the ones involving extreme physical trauma.
Definitely. One story came from an ER nurse. A motorcyclist had an accident, flew off his bike, landed face first.
Helmet didn't help?
Apparently not enough.
Yep.
The description was just brutal. The nurse said he had no chin, no mouth, and no nose. Just gone.
Oh, God. Just erase.
All that was left, she said, were his eyes, looking around in shock, just for those moments before he died. That's an image that really sticks with you, this sudden, complete obliteration.
The sheer physics of impact on flesh and bone is terrifying.
Another account. Someone helping recover bodies from an armored vehicle after an incident. The vehicle itself wasn't totally destroyed, but it had been thrown violently.
So the occupants.
The force was so extreme, the witness said the occupants were almost liquefied in their own skin. Their internal structures just gave way.
Liquefied? What did that even look like?
He described them as floppy and contorted,
Yeah,
like Gumby figures, bending in ways they shouldn't. Made them incredibly difficult and disturbing to carry.
I can't even imagine the physical reality of that kind of trauma. It's no wonder it caused nightmares.
It really underscores how vulnerable we are, doesn't it? Okay. This leads us to the last story, and maybe the most existentially terrifying. It combines psychological horror with the feeling of being trapped.
Okay, I'm braced.
This guy was having a really bad trip on magic mushrooms. He was in his apartment, completely freaking out, locked himself away.
And the trip made him hear things.
He started hearing noises through the wall connecting to his neighbor's place. A rhythmic scratching sound, and this eerily wet choke, over and over.
That sounds awful, especially while tripping.
He was convinced it was part of the hallucination. Some monster, some entity trying to claw its way through the drywall to get him. He was paralyzed with fear, hiding from this thing.
But it wasn't a hallucination.
No, the terrible irony.
Yeah.
The sounds were real.
What's happening?
His upstairs neighbor had overdosed. But it wasn't quick. He'd apparently vomited, aspirated it into his lungs, staggered out, fell down the stairs,
Oh, no.
and ended up lying right there, badly injured, trapped at the bottom of the stairs, right next to the narrator's wall.
So the scratching, the choking.
That was the neighbor. Dying. Trying desperately to make noise, to get attention, to signal for help while lying there, unable to move properly.
And the guy next door thought it was a monster from his trip. Oh, that's just devastating.
The neighbor was dying literally feet away, and the only person nearby was too lost in his own drug-induced terror to recognize a real cry for help.
The ultimate horror, maybe? Not the monster you imagine, but the real person dying alone, right next to potential help they just can't reach.
Exactly. Being trapped, injured, dying. Knowing people are nearby, maybe just on the other side of a thin wall, but being completely unable to get their attention. That specific helplessness.
That's true nightmare fuel. Worse than any imagined horror.
Yeah. So, we've covered a lot of dark ground today. Real stories, real trauma. From misplaced trust that led someone to sleep in a victim's sleeping bag.
To the impossible choices made to survive genocide, the terrifying reality of witnessing execution as a child.
The strange unsolved mysteries that leave you cold. The sheer physical fragility of our bodies.
And finally, that awful terror of being trapped and unheard right next to safety.
These stories, as disturbing as they are, they do offer, well, maybe not comfort, but insights into psychology, survival, the masks people wear, the thin line between normal life and absolute horror.
They force us to confront the randomness, the fragility, but also sometimes the strange resilience of people in the face of it all.
Thank you for joining us for this serious look into these chilling realities. We know it was heavy.
If you find value in exploring these tougher subjects, understanding the darker side of human experience, please do follow and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs.
Yeah, please. Like this discussion if you found it compelling. Share it with others who appreciate these kinds of true stories, and definitely subscribe to Horror Docs for more content like this.
Your support really helps us continue bringing these stories and analyses to light.
Until next time, stay safe out there. And remember, sometimes the stories that stick with you the most are the true ones.